Hi everyone! A couple of days ago I came across this article making informed decisions with Google Trends data, and I was super excited. I started reading it, I scrolled down a little bit and I saw Google Trends dataset available in BigQuery, and I was like, this is amazing! Google Trends data, as far as I know, have never been available through an API, so this is great that Google is opening all this data publicly through BigQuery. I was digging a little bit more with Google Search, and I found this other article, top 25 Google search terms now in BigQuery. And if you scroll down a little bit, you have a better sense of what's available now. So on a daily basis, you have the top 25 terms in Google Trends, the racing terms. You have 5 years of historical data for those terms, split by DMA, and I really think that this is great. Disclaimer, I work at Google, I love Google Trends, I love Google Cloud. That this video is completely on a personal note. I spend a lot of time with data in my daily basis, and I know how important this data can be for a marketer to really impact creative in real time, impact targeting in real time. So I just wanted to explore a little bit more, so let's go. To test it out today, I'm going to use the BigQuery sandbox. The BigQuery sandbox is the testing environment for BigQuery, and it's really easy to use and it's completely free. So if you want to play around, it's the best way to go at first. Really easy to find, BigQuery sandbox. Scroll down, go to BigQuery, and here we are ready to play in a second. If you have never tried it in the past, the first thing you need to do is to start a new project. So you go here, new project, and you create your project. In this case, I created already Google Trends project to play around. So we don't have to start from scratch. What you can do is go back to the article, and you have a few very basic queries to start. So let's pick the most basic and let's build from there. So this query, what it's going to give you is all the data for the top terms table. There are two tables that you can play around. Top terms with top terms, obviously, and top rising terms with top rising terms. So it's very simple, very self-explanatory. And then what they do is they filter by refresh date, giving you the latest date available. In this case would be yesterday. The data is refreshed every day, 9 a.m. Pacific time. So let's see what we get. Cool, so what you are gonna see is basically what's the rank of the term. So in this case, USWNT is the top term, rank number in first position. The refresh date, in this case, yesterday. Then you have to split all the data by DMA, name, and ID. You have the different terms. You have the week. The week is the split by week, and it has up to 5 years of historical data. So you really can see how every term has been trained over time and how it's been evolving until present date. And then finally, the score is the volume of the term for that specific week. Index over 100%, 100 being 100, the top week volume for the term. So let's imagine that I'm searching for Tom Brady. Tom Brady is trending. It trended in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. That was the top volume. That will be the 100%, and then everything's indexed over that 100% of that week that Tom Brady trended the most. I hope that that's clear. And then let's imagine that we want to get the top 25 terms from yesterday. We only care about that in the US, so basically we are gonna get the term and the rank. We are gonna, from yesterday, we are gonna group by, and we are gonna order by rank in an ascending order. So this should give me the top 25 terms in Google Trends yesterday in the US. There you go. So here you have the top terms. Congratulations, Kendall Jenner and Demi Lovato, for making the list. This is pretty interesting. Let's see if we can get the top rising terms from yesterday. Here it is. These are the top 25 train terms from yesterday. Honduras, Qatar. I assume that this is soccer, the Olympics. I don't know exactly what happened yesterday, so I don't know some of the topics, but I know that 2 days ago Jeff Bezos went to space. So what I'm gonna do is filter in for the rising terms for 2 days ago to see if Jeff Bezos is somewhere there. There you go. It's everything about Jeff Bezos. Blue Origin launch, Blue Origin, Bezos space flight, Jeff Bezos space flight, Jeff Bezos space, so on and so forth. So really interesting to see. It's like reading the news in real time, literally in 30 seconds. So really, really excited. After we check the basics, now the next step is gonna be building a table out of all this data and visualizing in Data Studio. The first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to put all the data that I'm gonna need in a table in BigQuery, and then I'm gonna connect that table with Data Studio to build a dashboard and visualize the data in a useful way. So let's try to put all our data in one simple table. So this is the query that we were using before. Let's try to get, so I want the top terms, I want all the data available, and the refresh date, I don't only want the last date or one specific date. I actually want a range. I want all the top terms for the last few days, 4 or 5 days. So I'm gonna pick the refresh date, anything that is smaller or equal than the last day, and everything over 5 days. So we're gonna have a few days of data to see what are the different trends for the last few days. And another thing that is pretty interesting is I don't want all the historical data. It's way too much, 5 years. I only want a few years of data. So I'm also gonna filter the weeks, all the historical data. I only want anything that is that starts over 2019 and ahead. So that's that. Let's see how this looks. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. We're basically getting the ranked refresh date, the last few days, and then the week. It seems that we're getting 2020, 2021, 2019. So it seems that the query is working. I not only want the top terms. I'm gonna say, hey, these are the top terms. As type. But I also, for simplicity, I'm gonna put also the raising terms in the same table, and I'm gonna unify both tables with data that I'm gonna need for my dashboard. So I'm gonna do a union. I'm gonna copy and paste. And instead of the top terms, this time I'm gonna get the raising terms. There is one thing that is important to know is that the top terms table was one less field than the top raising terms. The top raising terms have an extra field with how the percentage of growth of the term. So I'm not gonna be able to do select all. So I'm gonna have to pick what I want. So in this case, I want rank, I want refresh date, I want DMA name, I want the term, I want the week, and I want the score. And I want exactly the same for the other table. And here you go. I'm missing the score. Sorry, guys. So yeah, this would work. Now I sort of have a unified query with both top terms and rising terms for the last few days, starting with historical data 2019 and ahead. So looks pretty good. Have the rising terms. They're rising, so probably they're new terms, and that's the reason it probably they didn't even exist in 2019. So it makes sense that the score is gonna be null because the volume is way too low compared with the latest week. Now the last thing that we have to do is to save the results in a table. So to be able to connect that with, I could download this data and play it in Excel, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save the data in a BigQuery table. In this case, you put the project name, Google Trends, I built a new data set, Google Trends, and then the table name is gonna be, in this case, Google Trends super cool table. And we just wait a few seconds, and here we go. We have our Google Trends dataset, and here you have our Google Trends super cool table that contains all the rising terms and top terms for the last few days. And now it's neat to connect that with Data Studio and build something great. So now that we have a table with all the data, let's visualize the data in something meaningful for us. So to do that, we are going to use Data Studio. Here it is. I'm going to open a blank report from scratch. I'm going to use the BigQuery connector. We have used BigQuery. It's pretty straightforward. You have, if you are logged in with the same with your credentials, it already will tell you what are your projects, what's your data set, and the table that we created, Google Trends, super cool table. Here it is. So really easy to import the data. Add to report. Here it is. Disclaimer, I haven't done this before. I don't know what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna play with the data the way that I will play usually, to try to get something meaningful from the data. So please forgive me if I make any mistakes. The first thing I want to do is, obviously, I want to get one table with 25 top terms and another table with 25 rising terms for a specific day. So to do that, by default, it's filtering by type. I don't care about type. I care about the terms. And I don't care about the record count. I care about the rank. As you can see, there's a huge mess. Here it's a mix of rising terms, some terms, different days, and historical data. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do a data range control to filter by date, filter for a specific day. In this case, I'm going to do yesterday, which is the latest day that we have data for. And then we can change the filter pad. Okay, here you go. But still, the rank looks really random. The first thing, we don't need the sum, we would need the average, but still, it looks very, very random. We have 50 terms, so it's a mix of rising and top terms. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a filter, filtering only by the top terms. So include the type, that's the field that we're using to define top terms and rising terms, equal to top terms. There you go. Now it looks better. We have 25 terms, which makes more sense. And the last thing that we have to do is, instead of sorting by term, alphabetical order, I'm gonna sort by rank Standing. There you go. This looks much better. We have already a table with 25 terms, rank. Now what I'm gonna do is I want kind of the same. I'm gonna put it slightly pretty in a couple of seconds. Top terms. Sorry. The terms, racing terms. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the filter. Instead of top terms, I'm gonna build a racing terms filter. Type equals to racing terms. And I delete my previous filter. Here we go. This looks pretty good. Pretty good, I would say. We have 25 terms, racing terms for yesterday. I don't know exactly what happened yesterday, but I know that 2 days ago, again, Jeff Bezos went to space. So if I filter by 2 days ago, it should be everything about Sally. Blue Origin, Bezos, Jeff Bezos. This is working. We can visualize and we can see every day what are the top terms and the racing terms in Google Trends, which is pretty fun already. This is important to know that the ranking is consistent across all DMAs. What it changes is the score. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add a filter by DMA, and by default I'm gonna pick home, New York. There you go. The next thing that I'm gonna do is, this is really fun, but what I wanna do is I wanna see Jeff Bezos, how the interest has been evolving over time. So I'm gonna create, I'm gonna add a chart, which is gonna be a line chart mostly that I'm gonna put here. This looks awful. How can I get to Jeff Bezos? So basically what I want to do is the dimension. I want to, again, remember that all the historical data is split by weeks in the field week. So I want weeks. This is still looking awful. And remember that we don't want the rank. What we want, what shows the interest volume is a score. So I'm gonna pick a score. This looks kind of better. But we still have to split by term. This is a huge mess, but here you have the evolution. We need to order the x-axis. So the first thing that we're going to do is sort by week, descending. Standing actually. Here you go. I don't need the rank here. I already have the row numbers. I don't need the rank here. I already have the row numbers. I'm gonna give it more space to my graph. I have a mix of 50 terms here. Everything that is racing and top and how it has evolved over the last 3 years, all the way starting. Remember that we filter only give me the data from January 2019. So to make sense of the data and something that a human actually can read, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep adding filters to drill down in the data. So the first thing that I would do, I already have the split by DMA, picking New York by default. I would do another filter with type, so I can say, hey, I'm interested in top terms or racing terms, and if I want to drill down in a specific term, I would do another filter for terms. Here you go. Let's test it to see if we can get what's the interest of Jeff Bezos over time. So let's go to view. Again, all the racing and trading trends for Jeff Bezos happened yesterday, so I'm gonna apply. And I want to see Jeff Bezos is the racing term number 13. So I don't even need to go to this. I can go to terms. I can select everything, and I'm gonna pick Jeff Bezos. Boom. This is really cool. So we selected Jeff Bezos. We want to see how the query is trending over time. I could do that with any queries. There is a strange peak at the very beginning. Again, if with this graph you are over 100, this is the maximum index that you're going to be able to get. So if you are getting Y index over 100, there is something wrong. You are not filtering enough the data and drilling down by DMA, term and week to be able to make anything that makes sense. But I don't know if this is right. Jeff Bezos was really trending in 2019. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Google Trends and I'm gonna see if this is actually telling me the truth. Jeff Bezos. This is the trend. Again, we filter by New York. This only has starting July 2020. So I'm gonna do a custom range starting from January 1st, 2019 today to see if this is right. Oh, and we can confirm that it is right. There was a huge bump for Jeff Bezos. The first week of 2019, something happened with Amazon. I don't know exactly what. And then there is this bump in February, and then the latest bump is the first week of February 2021. If we go back to our graph, we can see that it shows exactly the same huge bump 2019, these two bumps, and then finally the bump in January 31st, the first week of February. So guys, exciting news. Our graph is actually working. We're getting real-time data about top terms, racing terms, and how they're evolving over time. We only use a couple of years of data. You can use all the way back to 5 years. You could also overlay years and see how the seasonality is changing year over year to make it really fun. I don't know what else I can do. The last thing that we can do probably is to play with the data at DMA level to see what DMAs are trending with a specific topic. So for that, I would add another tab. We can add some maps, or we can add a tree map. This is crazy. I don't want the split by week. You can do the split by week actually, and you could see what weeks of the last couple of years the topic having trending, which would be a really fun analysis to do. But instead of week, I'm gonna select DMA name. We have specifically New York. One thing to remember, this is gonna group all the weeks. Like for every week we have line of data. So this graph is gonna group all those weeks into DMA. So the score is gonna be all messed up. So what we're gonna have to do to make sense of this graph is to add a final drill down where we can filter by week and make sense of the data. So I would go now to view, we can test it. In the week, I'm gonna pick the last week of full data. Again, now the graph is, I mean, I would, in an ideal world, I would do that this graph only affect, this filter only affects this graph, but yeah, it's affecting, and now it's showing only 1 week of data, the last full of data. Instead of New York, I'm gonna pick all the DMAs, and I'm gonna go back to 2 days ago with my Jeff Bezos thing, and then finally I'm gonna filter by Jeff Bezos. And yep, exactly. Now you can see what are the states that the volume is 100, so meaning the volume has been bigger than historically any other time. Lafayette and so on. If we expand this graph, you can see what's the interest in the rising term Jeff Bezos by state, and what are the states that really are trending and the interest is peaking the biggest over the last 3 years of data, and what states are like, man, we don't care that much about Jeff Bezos. And yeah, now we have a really cool dashboard to play around. We could pick, let's pick all the weeks again. Let's pick New York. Let's pick all the terms, and again, we have a trends calculator. We can go to a few days ago and see what was happening that day. So Camila Cabello, top term. I'm sure that what happened was a Bucks versus Suns game, and that's what was trending that day. If we are only interested in Bucks, okay, let's make it easier. I will go to racing terms. I only care about those. Here are the racing terms. You can see the trend that is really spiking lately, so really cool to see. And then by finally, if I want to see how the bugs have been trending over time, I can filter by bugs, and I can see my trend over the last 3 years, what's the seasonality of the team and how it's been evolving and how really it's racing in the last 3 days. And guys, this is all. I hope that it was helpful. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you use Google Trends next time and the BigQuery API to find trends and really understand what is popping up, and maybe you guys can use it for creative, for your business, for supply chain, for different ways in your business. Have a good day. Bye.